this is the DC area swing and traders meetup group. I'm Robert. I've been the organizer for several years now. I see one of our past organizers here, which is so great to see Beth Shapiro. No relation, but just really happy to see. Anyway, this group's been around for about 15 years now. We meet the third Tuesday of every month from 7:30 till approximately 9:30, sometimes give or take. We did take the last year off though because of COVID. We couldn't meet in person, so we're going to go back to an organized meeting, but now the La Madeleine in Bethesda has closed, so we're not going there anymore. But hey, we're back with online meetings, and I know some of you know that's not necessarily my preferred format, but it does give us a lot of other options, like for remote speaking and things we just can't do easily in person. It's also very convenient. I love that it gives some of the past members a chance. Like last month, there were a few people here I actually hadn't seen in a couple of years. They had moved out of the area. So it gives some people a chance to attend again. We really do have all kinds of traders here, from just about anything you can imagine. I really like the exchange of ideas. It's really my favorite part of the group, and it's the reason that I do it. Every month is different though. So some months, like we're going to have a topic tonight. I didn't actually expect that, but Ethan pulled off the speaker at the last second. So I'm really excited about that. If you're new though, I think it's a really good idea to try and attend a few meetings to get a good perspective of what we're about. It's hard to do that from one meeting because it does radically change from month to month. A good example is last month. We were just talking in general, and a few people showed a lot of interest in cryptocurrency, but honestly, none of us knew anything about it. So thanks to the amazing efforts of Ethan, this month we have Cajun Franks to talk to us about cryptocurrency. I'm going to let Ethan introduce him. He's due to come on at 8 o'clock because I'm really not too sure about what he does exactly. But I hear he's big time, so it should be great. And many thanks to Ethan for getting us the speaker. And at the request of Cajun, the meeting is going to be recorded. I'm sure a lot of others are going to be happy about that. And it'll be available to play back later. I will post on the group page how to access that as soon as that's available. And one more thing, we do have a tight schedule tonight. Ethan and Angel are going to start with an update on their ongoing Nokia trade, and I think they have another one if there's time. And as I mentioned, 8 o'clock we'll hear from Cajun Franks. I'm not sure how long that'll go, if there'll be time after or not for an open discussion. Hopefully there will be. But with that in mind, let's forego the personal introductions tonight. You guys that don't like those, though, don't get too excited because it's one of my favorite parts of the meeting. So they'll definitely be back next month. But let's get going. I'm going to turn over to Ethan and Angel, who are going to talk. Please feel free to ask questions. At least, I don't know how Cajun Franks works with the questions or not, but you know, with anybody, the regular people, just feel free to speak up if you want to, and let's get going.
That sounds great. Thank you, Rob. I've been in the group now, I guess, 3 years, and we usually have a lot of guest speakers. I've seen people on technical analysis, candle analysis. Rob did very professional presentations with slides, and we had a two-part series on options. So also with slides, very professionally done, like things that you'd normally pay hundreds of dollars for at a seminar. I was really impressed with how professional the presentations are, and they're quite detailed. So anyway, the last 2 months, we've been online for 2 months now. This is the third month. And what we're doing with Angel and I, and Rob joined in last time, is we do what I call the Angel and Ethan show. We do this, we meet every day pretty much, sometimes several times a day. And we go over plays, and we have different approaches. So I do a functional, financial, technical analysis. I look at the overall market, the business story, the business strategy, sector analysis, all things like that. And then he comes in at a much detailed, heavy-duty technical analysis, which is continually growing. I've watched him evolve all sorts of techniques and methods, and getting finer and finer. And then we work together and try and plan some trades. So I'm going to make this first one's going to be quick. Since it's
one thing, Ethan, can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
I forgot to mention one thing I wanted to mention. You reminded me. Just 1 second. I lead a little group of professional traders. I don't sell anything, haven't in many years, but I do like to invite the people from this group to what I do. So it's only the first hour of the morning now. That's really all I'm working. It's the first few hours of the day doing some momentum gap trading, which is my style. I'm a day trader, but anyway, if anybody wants to join, just send me or check it out. Send me a link. It's a small group. Send me an email through the group and request it, and I will send you the instructions to join. I just didn't want to forget that.
Go. That's great. That's great. So we're going to quickly do Nokia. We started it 2 months ago, and we've been doing updates. I'm going to add some stuff back because there's so many new people on. So basically, we chose Nokia, and we're also doing Babcock's and Wilcox. And the reason we chose these two at our first meeting, we had 10 plays planned to discuss, and we only got through like 4. But the reason we chose them was Nokia is an example of an amazing company that has press releases almost every day, and the stock moves like a snail. I mean, it's excruciating how slowly this thing moves. And we chose Babcock and Wilcox because they also move like a snail, but they have very few press releases, like 1 every 3 weeks. So I thought it was an interesting juxtaposition, and that's why we chose those two. So I want to go back to Nokia, and let's see how we're doing on that. So first of all, a quick background. So Nokia is the leader in the world in 5G, and they just had a PR with their #1 in the 5G patents. And if you ever wondered what happened to Bell Labs, well, Bell Labs is now owned by Nokia. And Bell Labs has always been, through the whole 20th century, the cornerstone of American ingenuity and innovation. And now Nokia owns it. So what they're basically doing is they're deploying their wireless solutions, especially 5G. And what they're doing is every day, they take over entire countries. And it's amazing this stock is as low priced as it is. So for example, they're doing 5G in Germany, they're doing 5G in Saudi Arabia, they're doing 5G in Kenya. And on March 18th, they announced a complete restructuring. And this last quarter, they had a profit for the first time in a long time. And that's why the stock started to move. So that was really terrific. And I noticed it's hard to keep up with them, but today alone, they had 3 more press releases. It just blows my mind. And they're going to be doing all the network modernization for Georgia, the country of Georgia. And they're also doing, it looks like, Turkey's first 5G ready private wireless network. And they also had one yesterday analyzing the DDoS attacks, where they have software that can figure out where those internet attacks originate from. They've also taken over Oman and Nepal. I mean, it just goes on. And they have a new agreement with AT&T to accelerate US C-band rollout. So this is just an example of this company. It's pretty amazing. So as I mentioned at the first meeting, I first bought at $5.11, and then it went down and I bought more at $4.24. So I'm going to turn it over to Angel. Why don't you show us the chart and where we were on the April 20th meeting and then the May 15th meeting and where we are today.
Sure. I think Rob has to enable me to be able to share screens.
Oh, do I do that?
Or yeah, whoever hosts it.
Wait, hold on. I need my daughter. Hold on. Hey, Zoe. 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 How do I share? How did Angel be going to share a screen?
Ethan's daughter controls everything. It's her Zoom account.
Oh, so much for old people.
Zoe is going to be a senior at Emory University in the fall. There we go. Should work now, Angel. And she's hoping, she got accepted to the City University of London. So we're waiting to see if she gets to go.
Okay, so I think what was the dates, Arthur?
April 20th and May 15th were our meetings.
So the 20th was right here. So I had a wedge drawn here, and Nokia had closed at $4.15. Since then, since our next meeting, which was here on the 12th, went from 420 all the way up to, what is this, 518. So pretty much $1. A nice dollar rip came down. But the reason why we like Nokia was on a larger time frame. If we look at the quarterly charts, we have a nice wedge triangle pattern that's been forming since, one second, since basically the high back in the dot-com bubble, April of 2000s. And, we point here, and I don't know if anybody remembers in February where we had just all the meme stocks and everything go up dramatically. Nokia also had a spike. We spiked, let's see, it was just an insane daily spike. You can see it here. This is 1 day of action, opening from $5 to $4.99 and going as high as $9.79. So pretty much like a $5 move in 1 day. It was just insane. So what that shows me is this has been basically accumulation and pent up energy in this wedge here. And so that moment we pierced right out.
Does someone have a radio on or something?
No, let me speak a little louder. So
there's background shadow. Somebody's got their mic open.
Once we pierced out of the wedge, it was just a tremendous spike out of here, and you can see all the energy just getting out of that. We ended up not closing outside of the wedge, which was fine, but it gave you kind of a glimpse of what was to come. So we followed it closely for the next couple weeks. And so out of this ascending wedge pattern here with the flat top, we had just a massive gap up. I don't really remember the news. Do you remember the news, Ethan?
When it went up?
It was on 429.
Right, that's when they had a profit.
Okay, so then this must have been earnings, and It just exploded, and you can just see the follow through in price. So what we noticed is on a monthly, we opened in June outside of this wedge pattern here. So you can see that the momentum is really good. We broke out of it. We haven't broken out of this wedge since 2000. So we ran up this month to 569. It just happens to be the 100 period moving average on the monthly. So if we can just get above 568, 569 to close out the month, we should be really well. And, you know, let's see. So the way I played this is shares. I've been accumulating for a while, since around like 450 area, and also option contracts, leaps, which were really cheap for 2022 January. I think I bought them for like $40 each. So I had a big position of like probably 22 contracts. Sold a lot of them on the spike, probably around maybe a quarter. They went all the way up to like 130. So $130, you know, was pretty good. And we're still holding because this has a lot of potential. I mean, once this gets going, it's going to be really great. So just on a daily perspective, we had a little pullback today. And the way I play my intraday stuff is utilizing supply and demand. Essentially, so demand being areas of a breakout where perhaps there are orders left unfilled, and then areas of supply would be areas where sellers were there and it sold off. And so whenever there's a first touch into these zones, that's usually the best play. So in this case, this here was an area of small consolidation followed by a breakout. And so price is coming down and came down today to this area of a breakout. And you can see it also corresponds to an average. This red line here is a 20-day moving average. So it's pretty much coming close to that. So you could have taken a position today on Nokia with options or shares for a bounce. So we should get either a touch on the 20-period moving average, so maybe to 526 tomorrow, or even after hours or pre-market, and then we should get another bounce going up. So that's how I usually play my supply and demand. So in this case, Nokia for us is still going. It's still doing really well.
Great.
I'm not sure if anybody in the group took Nokia on the previous times we announced it, but if you have, you know, you've been doing well.
Anybody have any questions or no? Okay. How are we on time? Let's see. We have 5.
Angel, where are you looking to go with that?
I mean, we have, so when I look at the bigger charts, just because I'm holding leaps, so I want big areas of supply where I'm going to be selling. I have the next one here. Basically, I have a short-term one here. Let's see, because it all depends how you draw the supply and demands on what time frames.
Yeah, that's why I was asking where you're going.
Sure. So I like to do, you know, 4 hours, you know, if you do an intraday, you could do dailies, you could do weeklies. It just depends where you're noticing that supply and demand area. So in this case, the first one's coming up on the weekly. And this is area here where it basically chopped around. And then the next one was just a solid dump. So you had a breakdown, essentially a breakdown area here, a very impulsive breakdown. And then we just failed, you know, continue to go down. And as you can notice, we've never come up to retest it, never. So
you're looking for that $11.
What's up?
So you're looking for that $11 or so?
Yeah, per se, yes. So we tried here, but we didn't pierce it. So first touch is always the best touch. So I am going to say that that'll be our next target. Now, how long is it going to take? I'm not sure. With all these meme stocks and, momentum stuff, it could be next month. I mean, look at AMC. I mean, incredible. So that's why I have the leap, so that, I have plenty of time for this to hit. So that would be my first. And then my second one is just based on the larger quarterly chart. And it's going to be this area here. This here with this massive impulsive breakdown. So you're looking at an entry of, I would say, 1252 to a high of 1589. And that would be your next area, big area of supply, where I would definitely take. And look, it just happens to be the 100-period moving average on a quarterly chart. So when it lines up like that, where you have averages that line up with supply and demand, that's usually the better place. You have your bigger one here at, this is 3508, which would be incredible if it gets up to that, in the next year. But this would be my next area of supply. So, and then who knows how high this can go. But so far, so good. Like Ethan says, it moves like a snail, but it's been picking up. And I follow dark pool activities, and there was this massive dark pool print. I forgot when it was, but it was like last month, but it was for $4.63, a $10 million dark pool print. So that's my line in the sand for price. As long as it holds above 463, we should continue the ride up. So this is a cheap one, everybody.
Hey, Angel.
Yeah.
Got a question about the length of your options. Now, if this is moving like a snail,
yep.
I can understand where you might be going out with leaps.
Yes.
But if you could generalize, is there any length of option where you figure that you get the most bang for your buck as a buyer of a naked option? In other words, let's assume that it were a stock that had, you could go any length on options, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, whatever. Is there any particular length where you seem like you get more for your money, or is it kind of linear? Like if a 3-month option is 30 cents, then a 4-month option is going to be 40 cents, and a 5-month option is going to be 50 cents.
So I try to go more closer to the money, even in leaps, just because I just, in my couple of years of doing this, I noticed that, those out of the money options are nice because they're cheap and they look great, but more so than not, they're going to end up expiring worthless, and they're going to lose a lot of value if it never even gets close to that. So that's why I like to do closer to the money options, just because it's, you'll pay a little more, but if the direction's going in your favor, why not, get it closer to the money? And then, for every dollar that it goes up, well, you're up $100 per contract. So in this case, I ended up going with, I'm looking at my stuff now, Nokia. This was last month when it was below 5. And I bought 20 Nokia January 2022 $5 calls, which are in the money at the moment. And I paid basically 50 cents per each. So 50 cents in the option world would be $50. So 50 times 20 would be $1,000. So I have a $1,000 option play on these. And during the spike, this got all the way up to 135. So, 135 times 100 times 20. So, my option position went up to 2,700. So essentially a gain of 1,700 in less than a month off of, off a $1,000 play. So right now they're down to 67. So so now they're, I'm up only $340, but I'm holding these for some time. So I expect even higher returns as they come up to my supply zones. So, but on other options, like I'll show a quick one in a minute. I usually go out maybe a month. I wouldn't do weeklies just because that's gambling. At the minimum, 2 weeks, if you're confident that it's going to go in the right direction. But I would at least give 3 to 4 weeks of time.
Why don't we do Futu? Let me bring that up. So the symbol is FUTU. Okay, so they're a tech-driven online brokerage and wealth management platform in China, and they've been getting revenue, and so in the fourth quarter, they increased the number of registered clients almost 98%, and the total number of paying clients increased over 160%. So they had 516,000 clients who were paying to use their platform and trade on it. And they had revenue for the year of 2020 of $427 million. And let's see, I have, find it here. Okay, but in the first quarter of this year, their revenue, listen to this, just for the quarter is up to $283.6 million. And they had net income of $149.5 million. So this is Ethan's kind of company. I like companies that are profitable. And they added 273,000 paying clients in the first quarter. So we're going to look at the chart next. So this is an interesting company. It is a Chinese company, which means, from my perspective, to be careful, because I've been burned 3 times with Chinese companies that have gone out of business. It's not an ethnic bias. I'm just noting that. Then you often pay an ADR fee, which can mount up if you hold too long. So I'm just pointing that out. So let's take a look at the chart.
So yeah, again, this is a Chinese company, but we're, I personally, I'm not an investor. I'm a trader, so I'm in and out of plays. I don't really hold stuff where it would affect me in the ADR fees or whatnot. But I really like this this company as a trade vehicle, because when it runs up really big. So there's a wide range. As you can see by the chart here, it's a huge channel that has been in, and essentially.
I don't see the chart.
You don't see it?
Nope. Yeah, it's not there, Angel.
All right, give me 1 second.
I think your desktop is shared.
We're getting background noise. Is that from you? You're in, Angel?
Yeah, sorry, I have some my son and stuff. Let's see. Can you see it now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
great.
on.
So you can see it's just been in a huge range here. And so I like to trade I know Cajun said, stuff doesn't trade on supply and demand. Everyone's take on trading is a little different. So I got to disagree with that. I mean, not everything is going to follow it, but, stocks will, for the most part, in the cases that I do, follow it pretty well. So when we came down here on this low here, we never retested this breakout. Basically, it was an area where, the price reversed. Things were dropping really bad. and it just reversed. So we're going to look at that as a possible demand test in the future. You know, we came up, we chopped around. You know, this is why you wait for the trades. Essentially, you never chase. You wait for the trade to come to you. It fell. It started to come down, and you can see, you know, now we're starting to come back down to this zone that it previously, you know, ripped from. So boom, you know, we drew out the demand zone, and what happened? Almost to the penny. Like you can't beat this. Like it's like amazing, and this is where you know where I bought essentially on Futu on this dip here. I forget what my entry was. It was like a 103 or something. And I had like weekly options that expired. I just know, I think, I forget how much I made. It was like from $50 to like, I think it was like $800 per contract. It was just a nice bounce from the demand zone here. And so this was an area of basically supply up here where basically we broke down from. So we knew this is an area that in the future it will come up and test. And we did that. The first test that we hit, we failed. And we came down to that demand zone. And so today we came up and we retested again this supply and came up all the way to the edge of the supply and then failed. So that would have been a great place to sell, or, you know, buy a put for a quick drop. Now, you know, we're done with the play. So we're still on this channel. There's always resistance up here. So until we break out, you know, we're not going to be looking for upside for the moment. So, but this was a great play in terms of supply and demand. That, I mean, from $100 to 163 in a matter of, you know, a month. I mean, that's a pretty good, you know, rally. So.
Angel, what information do you get from the MACD to support this? Are you looking at that?
Yeah, so somewhat. If you can, hold on real quick. Give me 1 second if you don't mind.
Also,
yeah, give me 1 second. I'm going to try to mute the noise. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. Alberto, are you still on? It looks like you are.
All right, I'm back.
Alberto had a question very early on at 7:58. He wanted, while we're here, to expand on the concept of supply and demand. And where do you find them on the chart? And then that would follow up with piggyback with Beth's question.
Sure, sir. It's just areas of reversals where trend essentially changes. I usually like them when it's like a small, like here, like we have like a small, like wick kind of doji like candle followed by a big breakdown. So we know that this area here, and I would basically draw the demand on this wick here. So we draw it here. And that would be my supply zone. So what happens is we broke down, you know, we're coming back up, and essentially once we hit it, the first touch, that's usually a good place to either sell your position or buy a put. And that's exactly what happened. As soon as, you know, we came down, we came down here, we pierced it a little bit, and we failed really bad. So that could have been a great place to buy a put. When it pierced it through here, it came back up again. Usually I don't do 2 rounds, but you could have played it again and the same thing happened. You know, we pierced it and then we fell. And, you know, that was a good 166 all the way to 147. That was one day. I mean, that's a tremendous drop. And then we hit it again and we dropped again. I mean, this is a lot of 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5, pretty much 5 touches of, you know, of nice gains on puts that you could have hit. Then when same thing here, you know, this is I would have, you know, this is basically, this whole move here is the transition from this last, this is a big candle, but usually you'd want like a little wick, a little doji, maybe like one of these or something like that, followed by, you know, a bigger green candle. But same thing, I'll take this. And then, you know, we came up, we hit the supply again and failed. And then we finally, this was a false breakout. This was a nice move out of the supply. So, you know, you could have bought it on the breakout, but then, you know, we had I forgot what it was. I don't know if it was earnings or something. It was something that came out. I think it was an offering. So, you know, it was a black swan event or whatever. But this is what caused this massive dump. So again, this became supply. And so we came up here, we hit the supply in the first way. You could have bought puts, and then boom, we dumped. We dumped back to demand. So, you know, we're coming back up 1, 2, multiple touches of supply, and we tried to break above, but we couldn't. We failed. So right now we're in the middle. I wouldn't take a trade on it. So it's going to be interesting to know what's going to happen. But that's how I trade the supply and demands.
Yeah, and I should mention to everyone on the call, and Beth, to you, that in my background information, and this is the first 10 plays, it is in a Word document. If you email Tony Rath, TonyRathe, and the number 1 @gmail.com, I can send you the document for the first 10 plays we did 2 months ago. But one of the things I try and note is when there's a shelf offering, because my theory is once there's an offering, after that, it's safe. Because I trade based on minimizing risk. And once you know how the earnings are, and once you know the reaction to the earnings, you know your risk level in terms of going in. I find it safer to trade after earnings than going into earnings. Anyway, why don't we, I have an idea real quick before anyone, unless anyone wants to suggest one. Let's take a look at Palantir, which we covered in the first meeting, because that's made a comeback from when it went really down. This is PSR. I think it would be interesting to look at that. And for those who weren't on the original call.
Another perfect example of kind of what I look for. You know, we had this massive dump here and we fell, and we had a reversal candle here. And that was at an area, pretty much a breakout area. So this was an area of kind of consolidation with little wicks. And we had this massive just push upward. So this would be my area of demand. And, you know, we never hit it. And finally we hit it. We got below it a little bit, but we're able to push through and pretty much overlap all these, you know, these two red candles and then push it higher. So this anywhere here would have been a great place to buy Palantir at like, you know, $17.65 to $19. And then, you know, you're looking at areas of supply and demand. So your first area would have been here at this drop zone. And we came and look, we had a little drop down and then we pushed above. So we got above the supply zone. So the next one would have been up here. And that's exactly what we did today. We pierced it. It also happens to be the 100 period moving average, this light blue right here. So that was acting as resistance as well. But we hit it the first time into supply. So first time's the best time. So we should get a pullback. Now, if we can get above the supply, then you have the bigger supply up here at, let's say, $27. So another $3 going up. And then you have that gap that I was looking at before at 31.34 as being the bigger target up, you know, above. So another winner here if you had taken it on.
Everyone asked, all the traders asked if it could get to 30. And I'm in on this one at 23.01. And it never, from when I bought it, I'd have to look up the date. It never got past like 26 land. And I held, and it came all the way back down, and I'm still holding it now. I'm finally back in the green.
And that's the difference with, you know, like, are you trading as an investment, or are you trading, you know, as, you know, for swing trading? Like the company is great from what, you know, everyone says, and it has a lot of contracts and whatnot, but, you know, the price action is not, wasn't reflecting that. So You got to go by price action because it's king, in my opinion.
Right. So just so everyone knows, Palantir has two software offerings, Foundry and Gotham. And they've already had a lockup with millions of shares. And they got an $89 or $90 million contract with the National Nuclear Security Administration. And they're working with IBM, 3M, and specifically AWS, which is a key platform. And so I analyzed in my document that I presented 2 months ago, the financials, and I stated for the record, in my opinion, these guys will never have a profit ever until they knock down their sales and marketing and research and development, and especially their G&A. It's just not going to happen. I don't see how it's possible. However, I will note that they do have increasing revenue, which continues to go up. They get tons of contracts, and they're noted for killing terrorists. That's how they have a bad reputation. But they're doing a lot of good work, like in England, tracking the virus. And I think it's a really unique company. And if you go on their website, you can look at their investor day, and it's really amazing how they take various data sources and can combine them to do data analysis. It really is unique. I've done a lot of data analysis in my career in IT, and I can tell you it's difficult, and I don't know how they do it, but somehow they're doing it, and it's pretty impressive stuff. So it's a really good company. I like the company. When you trade it, you have to know that they're not profitable and they have debt. And again, in my opinion, I don't see how they'll ever make a profit. So you have to go in knowing that and sort of ride the momentum. But their big knock was they have more government contracts than private sector, but they are growing in their private sector contracts. So that's just some background on Palantir. I like the company. So how do you think, what are the odds here, Angel? Do you think we get to the gap at 31 or?
Yeah, I mean, there's a good opportunity here. I mean, I would say probably if we can consolidate underneath 100-day moving average, what it'll probably do is, since this was a new area of demand here, it'll probably come down here, and it looks to be like the 20-period moving average is also in this demand zone. So I wouldn't take it that it wouldn't come down to $23. So $23 would be a good place to buy.
Yeah.
For a bounce here and then possibly come back up.
The other traders on the call and get their view, and Rob, get your view. But it seems to me, looking at this, I wouldn't be surprised if it sort of bases in this channel it's forming for another several weeks until there's some sort of a catalyst that pops it up. That would be my take. What does everyone else think? Anyone?
I have an opinion, but that's all it is. I mean, I like stocks that are really in good trends and or at the beginning or end of one. And this one is just in the middle of a range. It fell again. Now it's back to supply. So to me, it's not a stock that's interesting. But
correct.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah, like right now it's in limbo. Like I wouldn't trade it at the moment unless you're in it.
Yeah, well, if you're in it with good profit, I'd protect.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it could very easily set up your pivot and head back down. But then again, it's trying to push up, so maybe it can flip itself the other way, and then it would, then it might have a chance at those big prior highs up there, wherever they are. I can't quite see that.
Hey, Ethan, this is Sanjay. I think I agree with you. I think because I think every time they win a contract, I think it's been last 6 or 7 months, they keep on coming with this additional $30-40 million worth of contracts. So I think they are edging towards going into private sector, but from the government sector, I think so. They definitely should go up. I think in the next 6 months or so. I think 30 is definitely in my opinion, I think 30 should be doable.
The Redditors are involved with Palantir.
The who?
The Reddit crowd, the Robin Hood or Reddit crowd, Wall Street Bets.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that's what happened is they took it to 39, and after that it of course dropped. But I think after that, subsequently to that drop, they won I think $34 million contract, and that's one reason it started to kind of form their base, and now it's moving up. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, no, the problem is that the Reddit crowd keeps picking different stocks almost every day, and it's sort of getting annoying. And now I think it's Corsair Gaming is suddenly been adopted, and so is Lorraine knows that I've owned Clean Energy. I've owned that for 9 years, and now in the last weekend, I'm reading how it's suddenly that stock, and I was like, what?
But this is like, I don't know. This is where I kind of disagree. I mean, to each their own, right? But Klein was another one. Remember, Ethan? I pounded the. I don't know if I mentioned this last time. I don't know if it was one of the ones I mentioned, but I'm in another Discord, and I pounded the room on this just because it had just a beautiful, demand zone play off another average, which was the 200 average here. And, I noticed this demand zone here, an area of breakout, and it just happened to coincide with, the 200-day moving average. So it just, nicely hugged it and we're able to buy shares and calls here and just patiently waited. And then, boom, we had this just explosion, and I forgot to draw the supply, but essentially it finally came up and touched the supply here from this breakdown area here that we never was able to kind of reach. And we finally did it and we failed. So, this would have been a nice short too from 1443 all the way to
I think I had that last week or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I got in it, but it certainly made my list as a short.
Yeah. Hopefully.
The big gap up day.
Yep. So, again, another one that would have been nice. Another one I think I mentioned before, and it deals with the crypto, was Riot. Riot was another one. Remember, Ethan?
Absolutely.
Pounded the floor, the table with, and it was an area of breakout from before, and it happened to coincide with the 200-day moving average. And, people were like, oh, it's going to die. It's going to go to 17, 16, and that's your risk reward. You take this as the risk reward. You say, the 200, it's moving up. It's an area of, a previous demand of breakout. And, stocks like to come and retest their breakouts and breakdown areas. So this would be a great risk reward play. It's going to take some time, which it did. It had to consolidate for a bit. But after that, we just exploded, had a nice, falling channel, exploded off that, another bullish flag, and then now we're here. And so we still have a gap to fill, the 39.32 gap, which happens to coincide also with an area of supply here. So that's my target that I have, the 39.32, before I sell the rest of my calls.
Yeah, that one looks great to me. It had a nice entry yesterday too. And I day traded. I didn't do this one. I did that other one, the Mara or whatever it was.
Oh, Mara, yes.
And MAR, same thing though. The chart's the same. And it made my day yesterday, but it also looked like a good swing trade.
Yeah, entry could have been today as well, at 9:30 in the morning, because we came. This is an area. This is the gap. And this is a breakout area. And so
love that gap. That's like one of my favorite gaps.
Yeah, this gap here. Yeah. So, price came down. It tested, the breakout area, the bottom, almost the bottom body of the breakout candle. and that could have been a great place to buy. They had 33.81, and then it just ran up, and then it finished on the low, but still, I mean, I played this intraday today at the low, and I sold it when it got to like 36. So that was like 100% option play that I did. I'm still holding one call, but that was from last Friday that is in the money and doesn't expire till this Friday. So I'm waiting for that gap fill here.
Hey, Rob, we're going to have to wrap soon, I think. Rob, do you want the play you want to present?
No, I'm good. I got to tell you that guy just blew my head off. I mean, with everything I don't know. Like he was amazing, but I couldn't relate to anything because I just can't get my head there, you know.
Yeah.
But he's got me thinking.
Yeah, well, I hope everyone enjoyed it. I did send him a list of basic questions. One of the ones that we didn't get answered, I wanted to understand why so much electricity is used by these machines. Some of the Bitcoin companies are using more electricity than entire American cities, which is why there's a real push to that's why Elon Musk had the tweet, actually 2 tweets, about using alternative energy to mine Bitcoin. And Angel has a Discord room that I'm in with him. And there's a guy, and I was trying to get him also on the call. Maybe we can get him in the future. But he actually owns physical Bitcoin miners and has both solar and hydropower running these miners. So I was been trying to get hold of him for a week. We only talked for 1 minute, but I wanted him to do a video, like a 3-minute video, showing us what the machines look like and how it has it hooked up to solar and his hydropower. I thought it would be real interesting, but I haven't been able to make a connection with him. So
that's where all of our video cards are going. Why we can't get any?
Yeah. So should we just wrap? Does anyone have any? I know most people, we try and respect the time. The meeting ends at 9:30. If anyone wants to stay on a few minutes, Angel and I can discuss any plays. Did anyone have anything, Sanjay or?
Yeah, I would like to ask Robert his wisdom in terms of what do you do when you hold a stock like Cliff, Cliff trade, CLF. Gosh, it's escaping my mind, When Wall Street Bets got into it, I had good number of shares. I ended up selling it Friday, so I had a very good gain. But then, of course, it dropped. I was lucky enough to sell everything. But then today I bought it again. Now it's pretty much moved up. So in your wisdom of trading, Robert, is there any suggestion you have? How do you deal with those kind of stocks?
Me or Angel? Because
you, Robert.
I think it's Angel's play.
Okay, whosoever can help.
I like it. I charted it before, but
so that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, this one, Cleveland Cliffs, right? So you can tell we've been in kind of like a side, like upward channel, So buy here, sell here, buy here, sell here, buy here, sell here. So when did you buy it?
I bought it I've been buying it at 18.19 and selling at 21.22.
Okay.
But when I
you've been doing it right. There you go.
No, I made money, but I'm like trying to understand, did I get lucky or what is the strategy that should employ?
When you've been buying at 18?
18 and 19.
So your entries are okay. I mean, you could have had better entries here at 14, 13, 16, 17. This is the 18. Maybe you bought it here. I don't know when you bought it, or just you.
Yeah, I think about two, not even 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks ago. Not long.
Oh, not long.
Yeah, it was more of a swing trade, but when I started to see the stock going up to 23 and a half, I said, "Oh my God, I better sell it," because I have seen the stocks whenever they get into a stock goes up, but then it comes down to back to up. So I just wanted to understand what strategy one should employ when you're dealing with these kind of stocks?
Sure. You know, when you're reaching these levels and it's going up that quick, you kind of gotta have to go into the bigger time frames. So in this case, I'm looking at the quarterly chart, and mind you, 15 days from now, this candle will finish drawing. So it looks like this 50 period moving average, this dark blue line, is resistance right now. We're above the 100, but the 50, we touched it this quarter at 24.55, and then we fell. And so we're between basically two averages. So it's going to be very interesting what happens at the close of 6:30. Do we close above here? If so, then we'll continue upward. Do we close below, and then do we retest this 100? I don't know. That's why you have to wait till the end of the quarter. I think. Here we go. But I have up here a supply zone I jotted from a weekly perspective, and it's here based on this and this massive drop, and we've never come back to retest it. And it looks like we're heading towards there. So eventually it will get to around $34, $35.
Yeah, I think so. Today they increased their forecast for the earnings. So that's one reason kind of after 10 o'clock, he just started to move positively. So that's when I kind of jumped back in. And I think the target has been like 28, 29. So I think you're saying if it's going to get to 31 or so?
That would be my next big supply zone where I would take profit. I don't know when they're doing earnings again. I don't think
it's 29th. I think it's August 20. July 27th.
July 20.
Okay.
So Thursday is the next earnings, and I don't know this company, so I'm madly researching while we're talking. So evidently, they are the largest. They produce steel.
Yes.
And, they're the
iron ore.
And iron ore pellets. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're evidently the largest steel supplier to the automotive industry in North America. Now, what's interesting about the PR today is, which I'm immediately suspicious of, is it only talks about it says they increased second quarter and full year 21 financial guidance, but I don't see anything else other than the EBITDA. So they're not talking about whether they're profitable. I'd have to go back and look at their last, they redeemed senior notes on May 27th. So that's good. That's behind us, so to speak. Let me see, keep going. I'm just going to do I'm looking at the, here we go. First quarter results was March 30th. So,
So Ethan, I'm looking at this TD Ameritrade. They are saying that they forecasted their second quarter adjusted EBITDA is going to be $1.3 billion from April guidance of $1.2 billion. So that's what really started moving the stock today.
Right. Now I figured that out, but my question is, and I'm not even seeing this.
I mean, it looks like like a nice kind of like a bull flag on a 4 hour. So we'll see how it opens. I mean, if we get, this here, drop down to the 20 here, and then a rip past the highs of 24.75, then we could get one of these. And it would,
Is that a daily chart, Angel?
That's a 4 hour chart.
Oh, it's a 4 hour. Okay.
Yeah, daily is this here.
Well, okay. The daily is a little up there, but that 4 hour is in a beautiful uptrend. I mean,
yeah,
you can buy every low on that.
Correct. It's respecting it very well.
Yeah.
So almost like algos trading, which I like. So.
Yeah, I've done very well, lucky, but I think like last Friday, I was just not sure. This was my first stock that, Wall Street bets got into it. I was just not sure how to handle that. But I said, you know what, I'm going to take my profits. I wanted to hold on to at least till 28. But then I said, if I am making money right now, let me just not worry about 28 and see how it goes.
Yeah, just make sure you take profit along the way.
Yes, thanks. Good. Thanks for your help, Angel.
Sure.
And now I'm just looking. See, I was suspicious because the increased guidance today is only about EBITDA. And that to me is a red flag in terms of the company's health. I immediately say, well, wait a minute. Are you profitable or had a loss? So, and on the first quarter results, I'm going to have to go into Edgar. They're not giving me the results. They're again talking about EBITDA, which makes me suspicious. So now for the full year of 20, get this, they had a loss for the year of $81 million. That's for the full year of 20.
Speaking of nice channels, this is one that me and Ethan had discussed before. Remember Ethan 4?
Right.
And look at this, it's just a wonderful, wonderful upward channel. I mean, you know, it's almost amazing from $30 back on June 11th to, you know, now at $95. It went all the way up to 104, but essentially back to the mean, back to the upward channel.
Right, and that's because the reason this is happening is because what they do, they're like Square, only they process transactions mostly for hotels and airlines. So as the virus, as the vaccine is rolled out and we're opening up and more people are booking hotels and going to restaurants, they're using Four as the transaction processor. And so they're starting to do really well. And this is a really well-run company. The CEO is one of the most inspirational speakers I've ever heard, if you listen to an earnings call. So I like this company. And as Angel recalls, I found this before anyone and played it and made a profit of it, but I never went back in. But I played this real early, like, what was it, over a year and a half ago?
Yeah, I think it was like $40 or something.
Yeah, or below that even, I played it.
Which stock is this?
Four.
Oh, I see.
It's Four. It's the actual name is the number four payments. So I know this stock inside and out, and they have on their website, it's amazing. They have a zip code map, and you can look at all the zip codes in the United States and see how their revenue is doing by zip code within state. I mean, the company, talk about analytics, data analytics. This company is unbelievable. I love this company.
Look
just
at
haven't gone back in.
I'm going to sign out, guys. Thanks so much, Ethan and Angel.
Sure.
For all the contribution.
Yeah,
and,
thank you very much, guys.
This was a great meeting, I think. Thanks so much.
I guess is everyone ready to go, or we've been on a long time? Alberto, if you're still on, did you get your question answered on supply and demand from Angel, or would you like to ask him a follow-up? I want you to leave.
It sounds to me like it's more like a support and resistance, or I'm wrong?
No, so support and resistance is a little different because support and resistance, you're going to have multiple touches on the same support and resistance line, and you would expect it to bounce. When it comes to supply and demand, I'm just looking for the first touch. And it won't be a long area of consolidation. It won't be that kind of say. It's just a quick doji followed by a breakout. So breakouts and breakdowns essentially. And those would be areas that it broke out very high, and so price has to come back because they're orders that were left unfilled on the way up. So price comes down, and you know, there are automatic triggers of buy demand orders by the big boys to drive the price back up.
It's like a pivot with a confirmation.
Kind of like a pivot, almost.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Anyone else, or I guess I have the master control before I end the meeting. Is everyone? Beth, do you have? Great to meet Beth. She evidently ran this room for years, and we're honored you're on. Did you have any questions or any thought? Did you enjoy this, or?
Loved it. I've really missed having trading talk and trading colleagues. So thoroughly enjoyed. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. you know, Angel and I, you need all the input we could get. We had one person on here, one of the 10 plays we originally did. Again, I'll mention, I sent a note out. If you want a copy of my Word document, it's Tony, Tony, RATHE, and the number 1 at gmail.com. It's free. I did all this work. It took me 3 days. So if you want a copy, I'd be more than happy to send it out. I've sent out a few copies so far. We had one of the plays we did, in contrast to Nokia, was another slow mover, was Babcock and Wilcox, BW. And on that first meeting, we had a woman on who said she was an expert at trading it. And I wish she was back on, because I have to admit, even I've been baffled lately by the way it's been trading. It's on its way back down. So I did not go back in. But
I mean, you could, I don't know, trading this way for me has kind of eliminated all the fear and kind of uncertainty that I used to have trading, you know, because once we just trade off of price action and kind of like I was saying, like supply and demands and chart patterns, and forget about the rest, the noise per se, like things become a lot clearer. Actually, like just simple here, you know, we had a nice wedge, broke out, we created a new supply zone here, we dropped. This was a demand zone at the time here, because it was an area that broke, you know, it reversed trend and broke out of, also was the 50-period moving average. So I like to look at that too. Whenever there's a demand zone plus an average that is bouncing off, that's fantastic. So, you know, this would have been a great place to buy. And then it came down. Oh, I'm sorry. So this was a demand zone here that was created. Came up here, created the supply, and it came down to retest this demand zone here, which was at the bottom of this wedge. And this was a great buy. I think we when we were on the meeting last time, or the first time, I think the stock was here. There you go. Look, 420, exactly that day that we talked about this. Right. And it had a close of what, 666.
Right.
Bad number, but
I was in at 677 and I sold at 780, Beth. And then a few days after I sold, it went to 935. And I had 1,000 shares. So I made $1,000. And
right. So, but as you can see, what did it do? It came back up, and we had an area of this breakdown. You see the breakdown candle. What did we do? This is an area that we built a supply zone, and we came back up. We dipped in there. So that was your first touch coming in here, and then we ended up coming back down. You know, no trade as of yet, and then it came back up. It, you know, tested it again. So twice. You know, usually I don't like to do twice, but it failed again. And now you go down to smaller time frames, and you can see here this was an area of breakout from a small consolidation, small doji here, and it broke out. So what happened? Price has come down now to this breakout area. So technically today would have been a great day if you wanted to swing it to buy it, because it did come down, pierced below the little bit of the demand, but it held inside. So I expect this either to chop around here or to get a nice swing back up here.
I'm getting my phone out. What did it close at here?
Today it closed at 817.
817, okay.
But so your next place would be here.
Did it go to 798 or? Yeah, it went to 798 as the low.
Correct.
Yeah. Now, just so you guys know, what I like about the stock is this is the one that's like Nokia, excruciatingly slow, and has very few PRs, one every 3 weeks. And I've spoken to investor relations about this too. The thing that I like about the company, it's a way to play both the oil industry, oil and gas industry, and alternative energy, because they operate in both segments. So when the infrastructure bill finally gets finalized, I expect this thing to go up. The problem with the company is, if you look back historically, they were almost out of business several years ago. They had all sorts of financial problems. And I identified in my analysis in my Word document that the problem is their cost of operations. So on a given quarter, if their cost of operations are high, they're going to have a loss. If their cost of operations are low, they're going to have a profit. So the last quarter, I was very disappointed because they swung to a loss. And I was sort of annoyed with the company. And the other thing you need to know is, and this is a key thing, and this is why I haven't gone back in, there's a lot of fuddy-duddy stuff. So you see the chart, and that's all technical, but you have to understand what's functionally happening behind the scenes. And that is that there's a lot of fuddy-duddy stuff happening with the company. Their largest shareholder is B. Riley Securities. And B. Riley Securities, they had a PR in the last week. They went ahead and exchanged their secured debt for preferred stock. So B. Riley agreed to give up the debt and exchange it for preferred stock. Now, Beth, the key thing you need to know is, this is going to blow your mind. That, and I mentioned this, when I found this out, I called Angel late at night one night. I said, you're not going to believe this. I've never heard of this in the market in 30 years of trading. The CEO of Babcock and Wilcox, BW, is also the CEO of B. Riley Securities. So this decision is in the mind of one person. I mean, that's a little, so when I talked to investor relations, I said to them directly, I don't hold back. Don't you think that's a conflict of interest? That
Exactly.
Your largest investor happens to be the president of Babcock and Wilcox simultaneously? And they wouldn't answer they wouldn't address it. They said, we're not allowed to comment on that. So there's this fuddy-duddy stuff. And what upset me about the company was, at our first meeting, I had announced that on February 12th, they had had a shelf. And so I told everyone I thought we were safe, because usually when companies have a shelf, they don't have another one. But, and you know, you're safe for a while. So that risk of stock dilution is out the window. You're past it, past the event, right? Well, what happened was they did another one for $750 million. I hadn't really ever seen a company do that so soon after the first one. So, that sort of financial stuff is bothering me, which is why I haven't entered. So that's my background in functional analysis and financial analysis of the company in a quick snapshot. It's been great. So I guess we should wrap up. We're way over. It's 10:19 and I've got to go.
Yeah.
Thank you all for coming. Enjoyed talking with everyone, meeting everyone.